All right, hi folks. Yesterday we learned about shapes in art and we ended on this gentleman, MC Escher. And I told you guys that while he was pretty well known for creating this crazy staircase where it plays with perspective and what's up and what's down, I also mentioned that he was really well known for something called tessellations. And as you can see, one of the things that he really loved to do was he would start with one image. Up here you have the bird. And as it goes along, there are slight changes. They get closer and closer together, and then they get less and less detailed until you start to realize that as your eye is guided down through the page, that the negative space, the spaces between these blackbirds, the white areas, are starting to form something else. And then by the time you get to the very bottom, you see that they have actually it's been changed into fish. Now, I'm not going to expect you to do exactly that, but I am going to show you a way to create a tessellation that isn't as intense, but you will have the opportunity to try that. So what I'm going to say is the first half of this video is going to show you how to create a tessellation using scissors, tape, pencil, big paper, small paper. You can even use cardboard. I've used like a cut up pasta box. These are pretty good because what we're gonna make out of it is a stencil. However, it can totally be done in the second half of the video. I'm actually gonna show you how to do it if all you have is a big piece of paper and a small piece of paper. It's gonna be really helpful for you to have a ballpoint pen for that part. So before I begin, I do want to show you where this is on the remote learning art page. So I'm going to share with you my screen of Unified Classroom. So usually when you log into Unified Classroom, you are taken to your dashboard. Mine's a little bit different given that I'm a teacher. You can click your class pages. I usually go down to my quick links because I have a few class, and I'm going to find the remote learning art page. Okay, remote learning art, you'll always know that you're in the right place because it has that green banner at the top. Now, this will always take you to the welcome page. And again, you just want to make sure that you navigate to the art pages that are here. So we have our weekly art assignments, and this arrow tells me that there are sub pages. So week 1, week 2, week 3, and what we're going to go down to is our tessellation page. Now, what I'm going to suggest that you do is take a look at this video here, because this is pretty much what we're going to be doing. I'm going to do this as a step-by-step with a slight alteration to it. So I definitely recommend you watch it first and then come back to this video. All right. There are also ways in which she uses gradation and value, which is something that we just learned about. But you do not have to color in your tessellation in this way. This is another video that shows tessellation, the same technique, and this shows just using a line, simple line drawings in order to decorate it. You'll note the line drawing alternates, almost like a checkerboard, right? So you're going to have one style in one way, and then you're going to change it, and then you're going to go to another style. You're going to go back to that original style. You want to alternate like a checkerboard. If you're feeling like you want a little bit of a challenge, there's another way to do tessellations using rotation, and this is just a slight alteration in the way that the first video works. But again, watch mine, watch that one, watch this one, and then you can pretty much decide which way you want to go. If you want to be super extra and you want to get those difficulty points, this one starts with a hexagon, which is a 6-sided shape, and there are a lot of cuts in this, and there are a lot of retapings, so keep that in mind. And this one is the same thing, same level of difficulty. It starts out using, I believe, a square, but there are, again, a lot of cuts and a lot of retaping. Now, if you have no ability to do the tessellation stencil, there is another option where all you really need is something to draw a straight edge with. And you can pause it along as this person makes the lines on here with his straight edge, and you can create a cool cube view. That is a tessellation as well. Okay, so at this time, pause, watch a couple of these videos, starting with this one, okay, and then come back to this video, and I will do a step-by-step. Okay, so what I have here is my little makeshift studio, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to cut out the best possible square that I can using my pasta box. So I'm going to use this line right here as an area to cut on. And I can tell that mine's not perfectly square. It doesn't have to be perfectly square, but you want it to be as close to square as possible. If you've got something about this size, you're going to be good to go. So I'm going to draw on this side. In the video that you should have watched and what we watched in class, our person drew a shape. What I'm going to show you to do a little bit easier, if you're taking a look at Miss T's phone, my camera, I'm going to do from end to end. So I'm going to hold it up here so that you can see. I'm drawing a line that is from one end to the other. Now, it's really important that you can do this in one cut because you need to keep this piece as one in order for it to work as a stencil. And the key thing with this type of stencil and tessellation that we're going to do is you want to be able to scoot it directly above and keep it generally in the same position. There's no rotating, there's no flipping. This will enable it to fit together like a puzzle. So make sure that you're doing that. Okay, and we just fold our tape over. Okay. What she had done in her video was she had drawn much smaller shapes, and then it becomes an issue of making sure that it's in roughly the same place. Again, I want to make sure that I can cut this out in one piece. Okay, so I'm cutting this out. Now, what I generally try to do, you can see from here, is I take a look at the space that I have from the top to the bottom. And as I slide it over, I just kind of compare it. Is that about the same? Maybe it can go up a little bit. Does it look about the same here? Maybe it can go down a little bit. It also really helps to just kind of keep it flat on the table. Okay. I'm going to tape that in place. You'll notice also that we're not taping it so that it's overlapping. We're taping it so that it just meets. Because that's how they're going to, again, fit together as a good puzzle piece. And with those two cuts, I have my stencil, okay? And what I will do is I will arrange it on my paper. Now, with this one, she started off in the middle. You can do it any which way you want, but if you're looking for, if it's the first time and you want to make it a little bit easier on yourself, then simply line it up at the bottom. I just try and line it up as best I can from top to bottom, and then I just trace my shape. And this is why having the pasta box really works, because it holds it in place a little bit better. Oops. Now, you can make accidents, that's fine. That's what erasers are for. But also keep in mind, don't get so focused on erasing the accident that you feel you feel like it's completely ruined. Remember that we're going to add color, we're going to add line designs, to this. So even if this doesn't lift up perfectly, this little accident that I have, I can probably disguise it by filling in my design. Okay. You just want to make sure that you do the whole thing. And as you can see, I'm just kind of sliding it and making sure that it fits as best I can. Sometimes it's a little bit off because I didn't start with a perfect square. That's fine. Just try to make it fit as best you can. If you get it close enough, it'll be fine. And again, once you fill it in, once you fill in designs and colors and stuff, it's these little imperfections kind of go away. So you're going to fill your entire page like this, okay? Just by moving them across and filling them in, all right? And eventually you'll have something that looks like this. This was another one that I had done, so my entire thing is covered. This is where you should be when you decide to start coloring it in. Now, you can use color if you have it. You can use pen, you can use pencil. You can practice between pen and pencil, or pen and marker, or marker and pencil. Whatever materials you have available are going to be fine. If all you've got is a pencil, then you can work on, you know, putting different lines. Like the example that I showed you before had them doing just a different drawing. I'll show you another example that I have that I created with a little house shape. So initially I had started with a little house shape, and in this one I just kind of ended up having to flip it upside down in order for it to work. But the tessellation example that I came up with on this one was I had my houses and I flipped it. So I made one side look like houses and another side look like arrows. And I can get my difficulty points by adding a little bit more line design and shading and things like that. Okay. So that said, if all you have is paper, a big paper and a little paper, that's going to be fine, because we'll have your big paper here. And I'm going to show you right now how to do this with a smaller paper. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this paper in half. I want it to be about 3 inches, so I can see that's a pretty good example. All right, so the way that I will make my paper easy to tear, because that's pretty much what we're going to do, is I just make a really good crease on both sides. I lick it very lightly. It's kind of gross, but it works almost all the time. You can either pull it apart, or I really actually like to put it on a flat surface, and then I can kind of pull it apart. All right. I'm going to take the one that I like, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it over to make a square. If anybody's ever made something in origami, you fold it down this way. All of this excess down here, I can get rid of, okay? So I'm gonna so here's my square, and I'm gonna do the same thing that I just did to make a square. And there's my square. I'm going to come up with a simple design. I find that it works really well if you go from corner to corner. It gives you a nice piece, and it gives you a dynamic. So I'm not going to go too crazy. Maybe I'll just do like a little S pattern. All right, so I did like a curvy line, and all you're going to do is you're going to take your ballpoint pen and you're going to trace over that line, and you're going to press down a little bit, because the point of it is you're going to make a little ridge. Eventually we're going to tear on this line, and so the harder you go, the weaker the paper will become, and it almost becomes a perforation. Okay, so I'm going to press down hard. I might do this 3 or 4 times, make 3 or 4 passes across. And you can almost feel it in the paper when it starts to give way. Okay. I have it here, it's a little bit darker, and if you actually look, you can see almost my indentation, but it's pretty clear that mine are that mine's on the other side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trace on the other side. And you'll know that you're doing a good job by your paper underneath. It actually came through. So now I know this is weak enough that I can actually start tearing, and my tear will actually go across and follow this line. If it doesn't, like mine's not perfectly following through, it's good enough. So I'm going to take the bigger piece, and then what I will do is I'll start at the bottom, and I will simply trace my stencil. Okay. And that's how we can make a tessellation without using a pencil, without using rather a scissor or tape. Now, I'm just showing you very quickly how to do that. When you get to the next row, you'll want to trace the bottom and create a grid. Okay. And then you'll fill that out. And again, once you're done with that, you'll be back at this spot. Okay. Can't wait to see what you got.